An 800 credit score. People treat this number like it's the final boss of adulting. You hit 800, you're responsible. You're smart. You've got your financial life together. Banks smile at you, landlords love you, your parents finally stop giving you that look at the dinner table. Society officially co-signs you as a functional human being. LinkedIn influencers post about it like they just summited Everest. Here's the thing nobody in your personal finance class is going to say out loud.
An 800 credit score doesn't mean you're good with money. It means you're good at borrowing. And those, I need you to sit with this for a second. Those are completely opposite things. Being good with money means building assets, cutting what you owe, growing what you keep. It means your net worth goes up month after month. It means the gap between what you own and what you owe keeps widening in your favor, steadily, quietly, without anyone handing you a trophy for it. Having a great credit score means you have debt, you manage debt, and you've been managing it reliably for years, consistently, loyally, like a good, obedient customer who never misses a payment and never asks why the interest rate is what it is. The system gives you its highest marks for being a loyal, long-term customer of debt. Not for building wealth, not for saving aggressively, not for staying out of the trap, for borrowing. So if you've been grinding toward that number, thinking you were becoming financially responsible, let me show you what you actually built, and more importantly, who you built it for. Because once you see this clearly, you stop playing the game they designed for you, and you start playing the one that actually moves the needle. Legally, I gotta say, none of this is financial advice. Personally, I'd call it common sense they forgot to put in Econ 101. All right, let's go. Here's where it starts. The origin story that changes everything. Most people assume the credit score was invented to help consumers, some neutral, objective system, a number that works for you, like a report card you carry into adulthood, your financial GPA, measuring how well you're doing with money. It wasn't. FICO, the Fair Isaac Corporation, the algorithm that quietly runs your financial life, was founded in 1956. And from day one, it wasn't designed for you. It was designed for lenders. Banks, creditors, mortgage companies, auto dealers. They needed a fast, standardized way to evaluate lending risk before handing out money. Before FICO, loan officers made decisions manually, relationship by relationship. That was slow, inconsistent, and expensive to scale. FICO industrialized that process, made it automatic, made it frictionless for the people doing the lending. The question the system was built to answer was never, how financially healthy is this person? The question was, how reliably will this person keep making debt payments so we can keep collecting interest? That is the entire foundation. That is what every component of your score is optimized to measure. Not your savings, not your net worth, not your discipline or your actual relationship with money. Your reliability as a paying customer of debt. Think about what that means for the number that follows you everywhere. The score that determines whether you can rent an apartment, finance a car, access emergency credit, or, in most states, set your insurance premiums. That number was designed, from its inception, to serve the people who lend money, not to serve you. You're not the customer of the credit score system. You're the product they sell data about. There's a difference. A significant one that nobody explains when they're telling you to build your credit. Let me make this concrete. Two real people. Meet Marcus, 26 years old, works in logistics, makes $55,000 a year, lives below his means, cooks most of his meals, hasn't upgraded his phone in 2 years because the one he has still works. Boring by Instagram standards, has $32,000 saved, paid off his car last year, has one credit card he stopped actively using because he actually noticed, like genuinely sat down and looked at his spending, that having it changed how he made decisions on weekends. No open loans, just savings, steady cash flow, and a plan he controls. His credit score? 615. The bureaus actually have a term for his file. They call it thin. Not enough active credit history to generate a strong number. Marcus isn't risky. He's not chaotic with money. He's not behind on anything. He's just not borrowing enough for the system to have a detailed opinion about him. Now meet Chris. Same age, same city, same income, $55,000 a year. 3 credit cards. Carries balances on 2 of them. Pays the minimums on time every single month. Never misses a payment. Student loans from 4 years ago, still running on the standard 10-year repayment schedule. Car payment on a vehicle that's depreciating faster than he's paying it down. Total outstanding debt? Around $47,000. Chris can tell you his score off the top of his head because he checks it monthly. It's part of his identity at this point. Chris's credit score? 785. Same age, same city, same paycheck. Marcus has actual money. Liquid, accessible, real money sitting in an account that belongs entirely to him. Money he can access tomorrow morning with no one's permission, no application, no approval process. Chris has $47,000 in liabilities and a great score for being consistent about managing those liabilities. Chris's savings account has maybe 2 months of expenses in it because the rest goes to servicing the debt. Now, go to a bank. Go to a landlord. Apply for a lease, a car loan, a mortgage. Chris gets better rates, faster approvals, better terms, automatically. The system opens doors for him because his data profile is rich. Lenders have years of payment behavior to analyze. He is a known, predictable, profitable quantity. Marcus gets questioned. Sometimes rejected outright because automated screening flags a thin file the same way it flags a bad one. The algorithm genuinely cannot differentiate between this person has no credit history because they're reckless and this person has no credit history because they don't use debt. The system just sees absence, and absence reads as ambiguity, and ambiguity reads as risk. So the system looks at Marcus, who has real savings, real discipline, real intentional financial choices, and says, "We can't evaluate you properly. Insufficient credit history. You're not broke, Marcus. You're just not borrowing enough." And the system doesn't know what to do with that. Let me walk through exactly why, because this is where it gets uncomfortably clear. Your credit score has 5 components. Every single one tells the same story. Payment history. 35% of your total score, the single largest factor. Pay your debt on time, your score rises. Miss one payment, it tanks hard and stays down for months. To benefit from this category at all, you need to have debt and be actively repaying it. No debt, no payment history. No payment history, nothing to evaluate here. The category literally requires you to have borrowed money first. Credit utilization. 30%. This is how much of your available credit limit you're currently using. Lower utilization is better. Under 30% is the benchmark. Under 10 is ideal. But to have a utilization ratio at all, you need an open credit account, which means a lender, which means an ongoing debt relationship, and you need to maintain that relationship continuously. Keep the account open, keep the limit active, keep the card from being closed due to inactivity. Even if you never spend a dollar on it. Length of credit history, 15%. The longer your accounts have been open, the higher this factor goes. Street translation? The system literally rewards you for having been in the debt system longer. More years as a borrowing customer equals a better score. You cannot shortcut this. You cannot study your way to a 15-year credit history. You just have to be in the machine, waiting for years. Credit mix, 10%. And I want to pause on this one because it's the clearest window into what the system actually wants from you. They reward you for having multiple types of debt simultaneously: credit cards and student loans, and an auto loan and a mortgage. The more categories of liabilities you're managing at the same time, the better this factor looks. One type of debt is fine. Multiple types is better. Why? Because different lenders are pulling your data, paying for your score, and making money from your payments. Street translation. Congratulations! You owe money to several different institutions at the same time. Here are some bonus points for your commitment to the ecosystem. New credit, 10%. Recently opened accounts create a temporary dip, but responsibly managed new credit builds out your profile over time. Keep opening accounts. Keep managing them. Keep the machine running and generating new data. Now look at all 5 together. Every single component, every factor in the entire calculation, built on the assumption that you have debt, are actively maintaining debt, have maintained debt for multiple years, and are managing multiple types of debt simultaneously. There is no factor for savings rate, no factor for net worth, no credit for holding cash, no reward for having 0 liabilities, no points for the emergency fund that means you'll never need emergency credit. The system has no interest in whether you're actually building wealth. It can only evaluate how well you're performing as a borrower. This isn't an accident. This isn't a design flaw someone forgot to patch. This is the design. Here's what that produces in practice. The part that doesn't get mentioned. If you've managed to pay off everything, every card, every loan, all of it, and you stop using credit entirely, your score gradually weakens over time. Accounts go inactive. Old loans fall off your history after 7 to 10 years. Your utilization ratio disappears because there's no open credit to measure. The file gets thin. And a thin file, in most lending contexts, gets treated like a problem. Higher deposit requirements. Worse terms when terms are offered at all. Automatic rejection from landlords running algorithmic screening that flags absent scores the same way it flags negative ones. In most U.S. states, insurance companies can legally use your credit score to set your premiums. It's called credit-based insurance scoring, and it's been upheld in court. A lower score, even from a thin file, even with 0 claims history, even with a perfect driving record, can mean higher auto insurance rates, higher homeowner rates. Someone else's model of your behavior, built entirely on your borrowing patterns, follows you into corners of your financial life where you never expected to find it. You chose not to carry debt. You made deliberate, disciplined choices. You reduced your exposure to interest charges and monthly obligations. The system sees your absence from the debt cycle as a risk indicator. Let that sit for a moment. Now, here's the part that should make you genuinely uncomfortable. Because at this point, a lot of people say, fine, I'll just play the game strategically. I'll get a card, use it lightly, pay it off every month. Build the score on my terms, then put the card away and forget about it. Rational response. Clean thinking. But here's what they're counting on the moment you open that account. There's research out of MIT, published, peer-reviewed, not a Reddit thread at 2 in the morning, showing that people bid up to 100% more for identical items when paying by credit versus cash. 100%. Same product, same auction, different payment method. The card doubled the bid. Other analyses across different study designs show consistent patterns. Average transaction sizes with credit cards run higher than cash or debit across grocery, restaurant, and retail spending. Not marginally higher, meaningfully higher. Researchers call the mechanism payment decoupling. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers a loss in real time. You see the money leave your hand. That moment of registration is a behavioral break. It makes you pause, recalculate, sometimes put things back. When you tap a card, the loss is abstract. The cost is deferred to a future statement. Your brain doesn't process the exchange the same way. You leave the store feeling like you received something. The feeling of losing something comes later, quietly, when the bill arrives. Banks have understood this dynamic for a long time. They didn't stumble into it. They built their products deliberately around it.
This is why every card comes stacked with rewards. Cashback, airline miles, hotel nights, lounge access, birthday bonuses, rotating category multipliers, sign-up bonuses that make you feel like you won something just for getting approved. Elegant engineering. Because spending feels rewarding, you spend more. Sometimes substantially more. And because you feel like a savvy consumer working the system, you don't notice the slip. None of that is generosity. That's bait. Expensive, precisely calibrated bait. And here's the number that should land differently now that you know the mechanism.
The average American household carries around $7,000 in credit card debt. The average interest rate on that debt has been running between 20 and 22% in recent years. $7,000 at 21%. That's roughly $1,470 per year in pure interest charges. Not reducing principal, not building equity, not generating anything you keep or own. Just $1,470 per year flowing from your account to theirs. A quiet maintenance fee for your participation in the loop. The rewards points are funded from that pool. You earned $60 in cash back. You paid $1,400 in interest. The house built a resort with the difference. The house always wins, unless you understand exactly how the house is structured. One more layer, because this is where the whole architecture becomes visible. FICO is a publicly traded company. Ticker FICO on the NYSE. Real company, real shareholders, real quarterly earnings calls where executives talk about revenue growth and market expansion. They report to investors. Their primary business is selling your score data to lenders. Every time a lender pulls your score, mortgage, car loan, credit card application, rental screening, FICO collects a fee. More active borrowers, longer credit histories, more debt products in use, all of this increases the volume and value of data flowing through the system. So the structural incentive for FICO is not to help consumers understand borrowing well enough to need it less. That would shrink their market. The incentive is more borrowers, longer histories, more active accounts, more inquiries, more revenue from lenders who pay to access the data. The credit score creates a number that feels deeply personal, ties that number to your access to housing and transportation and emergency liquidity, and gives you a metric to chase, which keeps you in active credit relationships for years, sometimes for life, continuously generating billable events. You think you're monitoring your financial health. You're managing your value as a data point in a lending marketplace. This is the rigged casino. And the part most people miss is that the house didn't just stack the odds. They convinced you that chasing a high score is the same thing as building wealth. They made their metric feel like your metric. They put it in your banking app, sent you notifications about it, made it gamified and trackable and emotionally resonant. Those are different games, played on completely different boards, producing completely different outcomes. All right, here's where I don't leave you in the spiral. Being angry at the structure is not the move. Understanding it is. 3 things that actually shift the picture. 1. Keep your metrics separate. This is the most important mental move, and almost nobody makes it explicitly. Your credit score is the bank's metric about you as a borrower. That is the entire thing it measures. Your actual financial metrics are different. Net worth, savings rate, liquid assets, monthly cash flow, the ratio of what you keep versus what goes out to service debt. Those are your numbers. The score is theirs. A person with $25,000 in liquid savings and a 580 credit score is in a fundamentally more resilient position than someone with 0 savings and an 800 score. A real emergency hits, job loss, medical bill, car breakdown. One of them pulls from savings without changing their financial trajectory. The other reaches for a card and goes deeper into the loop. But go to any automated lending system. The second person gets better terms every single time. Know this. Don't let their scorecard become your internal measure of financial reality. 2. If you need to build credit, do it with minimum effort. One card, low limit. Put something small and recurring on it. A streaming subscription, a utility, a monthly charge you already pay regardless. Set autopay to the full statement balance every single month, not the minimum, not a partial payment, the full balance. Go in, configure it once, walk away. That's the strategy. 12 to 18 months later, your score moves meaningfully. You've paid 0 in interest. You haven't built your lifestyle around the number. You've spent maybe 2 hours of mental energy on it total. You have the gate pass when you need it. Apartment lease, car loan, whatever situation requires it. Then the card goes in a drawer and stays there. Minimum viable credit strategy. Spend the least amount of time in the machine necessary to get what the machine controls access to. Don't live in it. 3. Never confuse access to credit with financial strength. A high credit limit is not an asset. It is a liability on standby. A pre-approved offer in your inbox is not money. 0% financing for 48 months is not free. It's debt at favorable terms, which is still a monthly obligation, still a drag on cash flow, still a product someone sold you. The confusion between credit access and actual wealth is how people end up with 800 scores and checking accounts that can't absorb a real emergency. The profile looks right. The score looks responsible. The system rewards it. And then one unexpected expense, one job change, one medical bill, one month where everything breaks at once, flips the whole picture. Real financial strength is liquid assets, things you own outright, money that belongs to you without terms and conditions and compound interest attached. The score is a gate you pass through when you need to access certain systems. Wealth is what you build outside those systems, on your own timeline, without anyone else's permission. So here's where we land. Your credit score tells lenders how reliably you'll keep paying them, how long you've been in the system, how many institutions you're committed to simultaneously. That's the complete picture of what it measures. It doesn't measure your intelligence, your savings, your actual financial picture. It doesn't register the car you paid off, the emergency fund you built, the choices you made to reduce your exposure to the loop. None of that generates a data point. It measures your performance as a borrower, filtered through a model designed by creditors, for creditors, since 1956. Chase the number when you need to. There are real situations where the score is a gate you have to pass through, and ignoring that is just performative. Apartments, car loans, certain employment screens. The gate is real and the stakes are real. But chase it deliberately, minimally, as a tool you pick up when necessary and put down when you're done. Not as a metric you optimize your financial life around. Not as a substitute for building actual assets. The real game is building real liquidity, real net worth, real options. The kind that don't require anyone's approval, don't come with interest rates attached, and don't weaken the moment you stop feeding the machine. The score is a gate. You pass through it when you need to. You don't live in it. Don't let them play you. Listen to what they're actually saying. Drop something in the comments. Are you actively building credit right now? Do you have the score but not the savings? Because that gap, right there, is exactly where the system gets most people. The number looks good. The account is empty. I want to hear where you're at. One love.